Recently, Datto surveyed its managed service providers about ransomware, which is really an incredible growing threat to small businesses out there, and actually businesses of any size. We found really alarming results, just that the rate of ransomware infections is growing at an incredible rate. Ransomware is different than your typical cyber attack in that they're not out to steal data from you per se, as much as they are, imagine like a burglar might break into your home and take your TV, but in the case of ransomware, they're going to break into your home, change your locks, put bars over the door, and tell you you have to pay them in order to get back into your house again. The big challenge with ransomware is that it's truly an asymmetric threat, in that traditionally when people think about hackers, they imagine some teenager behind a keyboard or maybe a disgruntled former employee, but instead ransomware is really run like a business, and the people that are perpetrating these ransomware attacks operate in a coordinated organizational method and really operate like they're trying to generate revenue from running these attacks. So for lots of businesses, it's a truly asymmetric threat, and their ability to really defend themselves ahead of the ransomware infection can be very hard. And that's where Datto comes in that our products and solutions really serve as kind of that last safety net, in that we keep a backup of all of that information, so we're able to restore those businesses to prior to when they were infected with ransomware very rapidly. I think probably a lot of the scariest ransomware attacks that we end up getting involved in are the ones where the IT infrastructure is actually responsible for, keeping people alive. So you look at like hospitals and medical institutions, as well as like utilities, police departments, things like that. Really, nobody is invulnerable to these kinds of infection, and it really takes preventative measure to be able to actually restore and come back from it. So I think the single biggest impacting point for me as an entrepreneur and growing the company is probably when I had an opportunity to sell the business for $100 million, and I said no. That was a really unique event in that I ended up speaking with sort of a major security company, and they said, actually, we'd be really interested in buying your business. And they were kind of confused by the idea that, they would have employees in Norwalk, Connecticut, which is not anywhere that's incredibly notable. And so I was concerned because it sounded like the outcome for my team would be that they'd likely lose their job. And for me, at the time, I owned 100% of the business, but I just didn't want to see that outcome for the team, and honestly, I wasn't ready to give up what I had built. And so rarely is it tested sort of when you say, hey, I really love coming to work, like rarely is that tested with a 9-digit number. And I said no to it. And after saying no to that, I realized that, one, I had to make this not a bad decision. I had to make this decision a good choice in my life. And so that meant getting a lot more serious about growing the business, and getting a lot more serious about making sure that I put the right pieces in place so that my employees would be taken care of should another opportunity like that arise. And that's when I became more open to taking outside funding and really building out a board and doing all the things necessary as sort of a business moves from startup to sort of an actual real established company. Starting right out of school, it was just me, and I ran up $80,000 in credit card debt to get the business off the ground and rolling, and there were some very tenuous moments in those early days. But luckily we were able to sort of find that product market fit and take off from there. My advice to other entrepreneurs is to just go for it, and that stop spending the time talking about your idea or worrying about your idea, but take the steps necessary to try to make it happen, and you have very little to lose.